Welcome everyone, Cliff from Advanced Diagnostics. Our area of interest today is going to be the 2005 Audi A4. Now I picked this particular model year because it's a split system year. So in other words, midway in the year, and there is no distinct production date that you can go by, there was a change. And we're going to go over the distinction between can versus non-can because you need to know what direction to take. Now, one thing that I want to bring out is the visible difference between the two vehicles. And that's where you can visually look at the vehicles and you can see, right here, the grille is very large on the can system vehicle. And there's a brake in the bumper. Whereas on the non-can, the grille is smaller in size and the bumper goes straight across without any brake. That's how you can tell by visibly looking at it, because what you want to do is hook up your programmer first and do not pick read pin code. You want to pick a mobilizer type 2. Now, the best way to do that, at least on an MVP T-Code Pro, would be to select Beetle, a mobilizer type 2. And the reason I suggest that is because 9 times out of 10, if you select Audi A4, it's most likely going to fail under the immobilizer type 2 communication lines. So always go to Beetle immobilizer type 2. See if it'll communicate. If it won't, then there's your tip off that you are dealing most likely with the CAN system. Now, if you've looked at enough of these vehicles, you can tell right from the outside of it. So here's the narrative of this story, because I had a call yesterday where this was a locksmith company that services a tow company. So there's an agreement there that the tow company brings the vehicle in, they supply the key, which I'm not too fond of, because unfortunately the locksmith company in this instance didn't even have a cloner, had no way of telling if that chip was correct. Now let me go one step further. If it is a CAN system, and that's why it's been removed from the apps guide quite some time ago, on the CAN systems, you have to use auto detect immobilizer, and you also have to have the Audi CAN chip key. That's really imperative. You cannot use the VW chip key. It has to be the TP25, which is known as the Audi CAN chip. Anything other than that is going to cause an issue in the cluster. You can do these vehicles all day long, 2005 and a half and up to 2008 in the CAN system, can be programmed by using auto detect immobilizer and the TP25 Audi CAN chip key. It'll go right in every time. You won't even need a pin code. In this instance, though, the vehicle was towed in, and I had him look at the outside, and from everything he described, it looked like a CAN system. But first, what I had him do was go over to Beetle, as I suggested earlier, and it wouldn't communicate with Type 2. So I had him go to Auto Detect Immobilizer. Now here's where it gets interesting. 2005, when you get into the CAN system, as opposed to 06 to 08, let's say, has a different cluster in it. So what will happen is on the auto detect immobilizer, it will actually communicate, but it will ask you for a pin code. Now, CAN systems are 5-digit pins. If this was a non-CAN system, you would go to Beetle, pick boy, apple, apple, read your pin code, you'll get a 5-digit number. You drop the 0 in the front, because all non-CAN systems are 4 digits and CAN systems are 5. So in this instance, it did ask for the pin. And that is because on the 05 model year, when it goes into CAN, it makes that transition into CAN, that's actually an RV4 cluster. So it's a little bit different, and auto detect immobilizer will behave differently with it. On the CAN system on 06 to 08, for example, that is an RV8 cluster, and that does not require the pin with this software that auto detects. So that's why it can get a little dicey, because sometimes you have to know, okay, which direction to take. So in this instance, we went to auto detect immobilizer, and obviously it asked for the pin. We did read the pin through Beetle, boy, apple, apple, as the engine code. Actually, I'm sorry, on his particular software, this was an MVP Pro, he had a version that we had to go to Touareg and then we used boy apple apple. We got the 5-digit pin. We went back to auto detect immobilizer, and if we were prompted for our pin code, we entered the entire 5-digit number, and we got access granted. His key, which was questionable because he had no cloner, and I told him in the beginning of the call, I said, it's really up to you if you want to proceed. He wanted to go forward despite the risk, because I told him if it's not the TP25 chip in that key, then you're going to have a problem with the cluster. But turned out to be a good key, and we got access granted. We were able to program in the key. The light went out. The golden rule on VW and Audi is light has to go out and stay out. Remember, they can run with a blinking light, and they can run with a solid light. That's no good. In this instance, light went out, stayed out, and we had a runner. So put this information in your notes that there is a distinct difference when you cross over to 05 to 06 and when you're crossing over to CAN from non-CAN. And that concludes our time together, and I really enjoyed spending it with you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.